Nikki Haley, 2024 Republican presidential candidate, also former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations and former South Carolina governor. Great to have you in focus. We'll
Thanks
get
so much,
to
Harris.
running for the White House in a moment. First, I want to lean in all the way on your acumen. What will it take now to get us out of this mess? What are we facing if China puts weapons on the ground for Russia to fight Ukraine?
Well, first of all, let's remember that China, before even the Ukrainian-Russian situation happened, China and Russia claimed that they were ultimate partners. So they made that alliance and partnership to stay together from the very beginning with Iran as their junior partner. So to see this, don't let the distractions of the blustering talk fool you. I mean, they're basically just trying to scare the United States. What we need, and they're trying to scare the West. We can't shake in our boots. We need to be strong. We need to let Russia and China know what we expect of them. This is no different. China typically got weapons from Russia. Russia didn't typically get weapons from China. Russia would get parts from China. So this is just China trying to make this bigger thing. They're trying to threaten us. They want us to run scared. And look, we've watched Biden run scared the last 2 years. America needs to stand up and say, we're going to have the backs of Ukraine. We're going to continue to do what we need to allow them to defend themselves and defend their freedoms and their rights. And if you decide to go and partner with Russia and go down this road, you will pay the same price that Russia paid. And China doesn't want that. China sees what's happened to the Russian economy. China sees how isolated Russia has become. So don't let the words fool you. We need to stay focused. We need to stay determined, and we can't be distracted.
So do you have faith that when the UN ambassador, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, says there will be consequences, that the Biden administration will actually apply some consequences? Because we've seen so many things from them. They were spying on us. It's only been 2 weeks. My goodness, there's been a tick up in how much they want to mess with us.
Look, I don't have any faith in the Biden administration. I mean, this starts with, you look at the fall of Afghanistan and what that told the world. You look at the fact that Biden fell all over himself to get, to try and get back into the Iran deal. The idea that Americans and that American children would look to the sky and see a Chinese spy balloon looking back at them. They know this is the weakest president we have ever had, and they are going to try and get away with as much as they possibly can during these next 2 years.
All right. That sort of tips us into what I've heard you say, why you want to run for president. Axios, CNN, many media outlets reported back in 2018 you had, if not the highest popularity among American politicians, very, very close to it, including among Democrats. 75% Republicans, 55% Democrats, 63% independents polled at that time said that they supported you. You had great approval ratings. Why didn't you run back then when the wind was at your back? I mean, I'm looking at your recent polling. It's 3 to 6%, somewhere in there. And you're going up against Donald Trump. Why now?
Well, first of all, early polling in any presidential race doesn't mean anything, so those polls don't matter. And look, you run when you feel like the country needs you. And right now, I look at the fact that we saw that fall in Afghanistan. Our kids are so far behind in education, we don't know if we can catch them up. Mothers can't get baby formula. Families can't afford groceries. But more than that, Harris, I was a governor. I took a hurting state and I turned it into the beast of the Southeast. I went to the UN and I took the kick me sign off of our backs. I'm the wife of a combat veteran that understands strong militaries don't start wars, they prevent wars. I'm the mom that has a daughter who's getting married, and I see how hard it is for her to try and buy a home. And I have a son in college, and I see that he's having to write papers to get an A, but it's not what he believes. It is time we right the ship and we get someone new leadership, leave the status quo of the past, and let's start bringing the momentum back to our country and make us strong again.
And those are all platitudes of running and a great speech if you're on a stump. But we need specifics, because right before the midterms, I had a live audience election night. And what we learned was exactly what we saw a few hours later. Independents especially are no longer impressed with Republicans making a bunch of promises. They want to see action. Inflation Reduction Act from Biden didn't do that. It spent money on climate change. What will you do to make the price of flour and bacon and everything we put in our refrigerators cheaper?
There's multiple things we have to do. First of all, D.C. has a spending addiction. We've got to put them on a diet. 15% of our budget is interest. We need to quit borrowing money. These earmarks that both Republicans and Democrats started, they need to stop that. When you look at inflation, the supply chain, the reason supplies are so high, we need to start making things in America again so that that's not the issue. And then we have to open up the energy sector to bring the cost of utilities down. When you do those things, that's the start. We have to remind D.C., this is the American taxpayers' money, not the others. Right now, we're seeing $12 million on a baseball stadium in New York, $15 million for New Jersey to get the World Cup, $6.5 million for golf courses in New York, $2 million for a hip-hop museum in New York. That's insanity when families can't afford things. And you've got families, 50% of families now saying they're making less money than they were a year ago.
All right, real quickly, because I do want to get to some of the sexist and racist remarks against you, and I will. One last one. What is your foreign policy on Ukraine right now? How much money should we be spending? Because everybody from Congressman Walz in Florida to others are saying, what do we do at this point? Just open the checkbook? How does that help? What do you do?
No, we don't open the checkbook. We shouldn't send blank checks. We shouldn't put troops on the ground. We should give them the equipment to defend themselves because this is a war that they're winning. This is not a war about Russia and Ukraine. It's a war about freedom, and it's one we have to win. Ambassador
Haley, you announced your White House bid about a week ago now, and since then, the liberal media have been losing their minds. CNN anchor Don Lemon had one of his what I call Lemonisms. He kicked off the disrespect with his now infamous comment on your being past your prime age. It's gone on and on from there. Let's watch.
You're not a new generation. You're 51. What are you talking about? She may be younger than most of those people, but her rhetoric is the same.
To quote Zora Neale Hurston, not all skin folk are kinfolk. She's the alpha Karen with brown skin. And for white supremacists and racists, she's the perfect Manchurian candidate. She uses her brown skin as a weapon against poor black folks and poor brown folks, and she uses her brown skin to launder white supremacist talking points.
That is unbelievable. And you say what?
It's not a surprise. They've done this for a long time. You read the poll numbers of how I do with independents and suburban women and all of those. They know that I am the biggest threat that liberals have ever seen, and they're scared about it. But what I'll tell you is, you want to tell me I'm past my prime? Hold my beer and watch this. Because I'm telling you, where we are going to take America is going to change all of that. And they know how hard I'll work, and they know how tough I am. Bring it. We're ready. Go to NikkiHaley.com and join us.
Hunter Biden, by the way, is 53. I mean, the president is such an octogenarian. He's really just turned 80. But he's so much in that category that his children are older than you. So I don't really understand where this comes from. But the race element will be interesting in your state, your home state of South Carolina, because Democrats now want to tip the table. They want to start there and scoop up the black vote early in the primary season. What do you say about that? And what do you think you're facing? Do you think you can win your own state? You've got Trump, potentially DeSantis, potentially Tim Scott, and you've got to get the black vote, at least some of it.
I'm very proud of South Carolina. And more than that, South Carolinians know what I did for them. They know that I took the state from double-digit unemployment and I made it the beast of the Southeast. They know that I reformed education and said any child that can't read by the third grade has to be held back. They know I passed voter ID in South Carolina. They know I passed E-Verify that said no illegal immigrants could get jobs in our state. And they know that when we had a white supremacist shooter come and try and shoot some amazing people in a church, we went and didn't have chaos on our streets. We didn't have businesses burning down. We had vigils, we had hugs, and we showed the entire world what grace and strength look like. The people of South Carolina have been very good to me, and I will forever be grateful, but I'm going to work hard to get their support again. And I think you could look at my announcement. We had a few thousand people there. We certainly felt the love, and I'm going to make them proud in the process.
All right. How do you beat Trump?
You know, I kick forward. I talk about Joe Biden. I'm not worried about Trump. This is about making sure we do something different and leave the status quo behind. We can't keep losing. It is time that Americans know what it's like to win again. We have lost enough. We've talked about bad past history issues enough. Let's start focusing on getting our country back. Let's get rid of socialism. Let's get rid of this defeatism. And let's show our kids what it means to love their country. A strong America, a proud America. That's what we're going to do. Go to NikkiHaley.com and join us.
Ambassador Nikki Haley, running for president 2024. Thank you for being in focus. Good to see you.
Thanks, Harris.
Mayhem in